All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the very first program pretty much every single developer writes, Hello World. Our goal here is to break it down piece by piece, so you don't just see what it does, but you really get why it's the absolute foundation for everything else you'll ever do in Java. And believe me, this isn't just some silly little thing you do on your first day. This quote nails it. You have to learn this core template before you can build anything bigger. This tiny program literally contains the DNA of every single complex Java application out there. So here it is in all its glory. Yeah, I know it might look a little like a secret code at first glance, but I promise you, every single line, every symbol has a very specific job. We're going to deconstruct this whole thing together. But before we dive into the code itself, let's talk about where this stuff even lives. To bring any code to life, you need the right tools. You need a place to write your instructions, a way to translate those instructions for the computer, and then a way to actually run the program. Think of it as setting up your digital workshop. Now, you could technically write code in a simple text app, but real professionals use something called an IDE, an integrated development environment, and it's so much more than a notepad. It's a complete toolkit that makes writing and running your code way, way smoother. A fantastic and super popular example is Eclipse. It's a professional-grade environment that was built for Java, but it can handle other languages too. And you know the best part? It's open source, which means it is completely 100% free for anyone to download and use. So how does your idea actually become a running program? Well, it's kind of like a three-step dance. First, you write your code, the human-readable stuff. Then the magic happens. You compile it. This is where a special program translates your code into something called bytecode, a middleman language that the Java Virtual Machine, or JVM, can understand. And finally, you hit run, and the JVM executes that bytecode. Okay, Workshop is all set up. Let's get back to our code. We're going to start from the outside and work our way in, beginning with the main structure and the little notes that programmers leave for each other. Let's start at the very top, line 1. See those two little forward slashes right at the beginning? That's a secret message, but it's not for the computer. It's telling the Java compiler, hey, whatever comes after this on this line, just ignore it. This is called a single line comment. It's not an instruction for the machine at all. It's a note for you or for any other human who reads your code down the line. It's like leaving little breadcrumbs to explain what you're doing, and it's a really good habit to get into. All right, next up, let's look at the main container of our whole program. This line declares something called a class, and we've given it the name Hello World. You have to understand, in Java, pretty much all of your code has to live inside one of these classes. The absolute best way to think about a class is as a blueprint. It's the master plan that defines the entire structure and all the behaviors of your program. Everything else we write is going to be part of this Hello World blueprint. So let's crack this line open. The word public just means this blueprint is open for business, accessible from other places. Hello World is the name we gave it, and super important, Java is case sensitive, so capitalization really matters. And finally, those curly braces. Think of them as the walls of the building. They say everything inside here belongs to the Hello World class. Now, besides those little single-line comments, what if you have a lot more to say? Or, and this is a cool trick, what if you want to temporarily turn off a big chunk of code without deleting it? For that, you use a multi-line comment. It starts with a /* and ends with a */, and the compiler just skips right over everything in between. So, we've got the blueprint, the container for our code. Now we're going to step inside. And what we find here is probably the single most important part of any runnable Java program. This next line, this is the ignition switch for the entire program. It defines what's called the main method. It looks a little intimidating, I know, but its purpose is actually super simple and completely non-negotiable. The main method is the official front door to your program. When you tell the computer to run your code, the very first thing it does is look for this exact method. Without it, your program has no idea where to even begin. No main method, no program. Period. I know this line looks like a mouthful, but every single word matters. Public means it's accessible. Static is a bit tricky, but for now, just think of it as meaning the method belongs to the class blueprint itself. Void means it does an action but doesn't hand back any value. Main is the magic word, the required name, and string args is just a placeholder in case you want to give the program some info right when it starts up. Okay, deep breath. We've built the house, we've found the front door. Now let's look at the one command that actually does something and the grammar rules that hold it all together. This is it, the payoff. This single line is the instruction that tells the computer to actually display our message on the screen. This is where the magic happens. Let's break it down. System.out, just think of that as the destination. It basically means the computer screen. The command itself is .println, which means print a line. And what are we printing? Whatever is inside those parentheses, the text hello world. Oh, and that little ln in println is important. It means after it prints, the cursor jumps to the next line. Now look at the very end of that line. See that little semicolon? That tiny symbol is one of the most important things in all of Java. It's just like a period at the end of a sentence. It tells the compiler, okay, this instruction is complete. You can move on. Forgetting this little guy causes so many headaches for beginners. Trust me on that one. So let's do a quick recap of the grammar, right? Semicolons end our statements. Curly braces define our blocks of code. Parentheses are for our commands. Square brackets are for lists of things. And keywords are those special reserved words, like public and class. It's just like learning the punctuation for a new language. And that's it. We've completely dissected our first Java program. But here's the most important thing to remember. This simple structure is the bedrock. Every massive, complex Java application you can imagine is built on these exact same ideas: a class, a main entry point, and commands that end with a semicolon. You just learned the foundation of the entire language. So I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. We just took this thing that looked complicated and broke it down into simple, understandable parts. So what about the other systems you use every single day? What are their rock-bottom foundational elements? And what could you learn if you really tried to break them down with the same detail we just used for Hello World?